What if I told you? You reveal your darkest traits every single day, and most of the time you have no idea you're doing it. You think you're being normal. You think you're being reasonable. But small, ordinary habits whisper the truth about what you keep locked away, your shadow. And here's the hard part. Those whispers shape your life more than you realize. People think the dark side is dramatic. They imagine secrets, crimes, extremes. But Carl Jung taught a different truth. The shadow shows up in small, repeatable ways. In the offhand comment you make, in the way you clench your jaw when someone disagrees. And if you ignore it, it grows, quietly, patiently, until it runs your reactions. Studies and therapists who work with Jungian ideas all report the same thing. Awareness is the cure. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to point out 5 everyday habits that expose the shadow self. Simple habits, not to shame you, to help you see, to give you a choice. Stay with me, because the moment you recognize one of these in yourself, everything changes. You might be surprised how subtle these habits are. First habit, overjudging others. You know the voice, quick to label, fast to dismiss. That inner narrator that files people into categories. Lazy, irresponsible, needy, shallow. On the surface, it feels like moral clarity, but often judgment is projection. You point at a flaw in someone else because that same flaw lives in you, and you refuse to acknowledge it. Psychology calls this projection. It's a defense mechanism. When a thought or feeling is too uncomfortable to own, the mind attributes it to others. So when you loathe someone for being selfish, ask yourself, where in me is that same tendency hiding? Overjudging tightens your social world. It makes you feel superior for a moment, but it also cuts you off from honest connection and self-knowledge. Second habit, passive aggression. This is the slow poison of the shadow. You agree to something and then intentionally drag your feet. You give compliments that sting. You forget to pass on a message you were trusted with. Passive aggression feels safe. It avoids direct conflict. But what it actually does is nourish resentment and disguise anger in control. Jungians say the shadow likes to avoid direct exposure. Passive aggression keeps feelings out of sight. If you find yourself smiling while undermining or using silence as punishment, that's a red flag. The healthier alternative is simple. Name the feeling. Say, I'm upset about this. I don't like how that felt. It's uncomfortable at first, but it stops the shadow from running the show behind a polite mask. Third habit, emotional triggers. The quick, disproportionate reactions that surprise even you. Someone says one thing and you erupt, or you shut down as if a ghost walked through the room. Triggers are fossilized reactions from old wounds. A small insult hits a memory inside you, and you overreact as if it's happening all over again. Understanding triggers means doing 2 things. First, feel the reaction without acting on it. Name it. This is called affect labeling, and it calms the nervous system. Second, ask what past story this reaction belongs to. Often a flash of rage or shame is a signpost, not of who you are now, but of who you were when you stored that pain. Bringing that story into light weakens the shadow's hold. Fourth habit, hidden envy. This one's slippery because envy hides behind praise and politeness. You celebrate someone's success and then spend the next hour scrolling their life with a dull ache. You make jokes about someone's lucky break. Envy can look like indifference, sarcasm, or sudden busyness when someone else shines. Jung said the shadow contains everything we deny in ourselves, including desires we're embarrassed to admit. Envy is often desire in disguise. When you own the feeling, I want that too, it changes from a toxic whisper to useful information. It tells you what you secretly value. Then you can decide to pursue it honestly rather than feed resentment. Fifth habit: small acts that suggest unfinished inner work. These are tiny, repeated choices that signal deeper neglect. The habit of perfectionism that refuses help. The chronic people-pleasing that erases your own needs. The constant need to be right, even at the cost of learning. These aren't dramatic, but they are telling. They're the daily rituals that keep parts of you exiled. Jung saw the shadow as not only dark impulses but also neglected potentials. Your perfectionism might hide self-doubt. Your people-pleasing might hide anger you think is unacceptable. The trick here is curiosity. Instead of condemning the habit, ask, what am I protecting by doing this? What would happen if I allowed the opposite? Small experiments, missing a deadline with transparency, saying no with a soft boundary, are powerful mirrors. They show you what lies beneath. Let me give you quick, concrete examples so this feels real. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone suggests an idea you think is naive. You laugh loud and say, "That won't work." That's judgment. You shut down dialogue and avoid seeing your own fear of looking foolish. Or think about planning a birthday and saying yes to everything asked of you, because saying no feels selfish. You do all the work and later feel quietly resentful. That's people-pleasing, feeding the shadow. Now, the practical part. How do you start? First, pause. The pause is a tiny act of rebellion against habit. When you sense judgment, when you feel triggered, stop. Breathe. Say to yourself, I notice I'm judging, or I'm feeling really triggered right now. Second, journal one sentence. What did that reaction try to hide? Third, do one small experiment this week. If you overjudge, ask a question instead of declaring. If you're passive-aggressive, state a preference. If envy shows up, write what you actually want and list one step toward it. This isn't therapy in 10 minutes. But these moves create openings. Jung believed what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. Bringing these habits into awareness doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you honest. It gives you power to choose differently. Let me be clear. Noticing your shadow is not self-criticism. It's self-inquiry. I'm not here to make you feel guilty. I'm here to get you curious. Curiosity dissolves shame. Curiosity invites change. Before we finish, remember this pattern of 3. Notice, name, experiment. Notice the habit. Name the feeling or belief behind it. Experiment with one small opposite action. Repeat. Over time, that repetition rewires patterns that once felt inevitable. If this hit a nerve, good. That means you're awake enough to notice. If it didn't, That's fine too. You'll come back to it when you're ready. The important thing is you now have language for what you might have felt without understanding. If you found this helpful, do one thing for me. Try the pause this week. The next time you feel a flash of judgment, a prick of envy, or the urge to punish with silence, pause. Say quietly, I notice this. Then choose one small different action. If you want guided prompts to do this work, check the pinned comment for a simple worksheet you can use daily. If you want more videos on shadow integration, let me know which habit you want me to unpack next. Now tell me honestly, which of these 5 habits did you recognize in yourself? Which one surprised you? Share it in the comments and tell us one small shift you'll try this week. I'll read them. I'll reply. Thank you for listening. Be brave enough to look. Be gentle enough to change.